So these recent plane crashes, the tragic one in D.C. with the American Airlines flight and the Black Hawk helicopter, was this a DEI problem? Is this what it really comes down to? The incompetency of the pilots involved, of the actual jet and the helicopter? Is this because of these diversity inclusion programs that we're getting lesser qualified, lesser skilled, lesser competent people? Same thing with the 2 days later, we had a plane go down in a medvac plane, a Learjet 55 went down in Philadelphia. Right in the street went down. Another case of DEI, correct? Is that possible? Is that what this is? I have a question for you. Do white men or white women crash planes? Have there been plane crashes with white people aboard? White, straight men. Have there been any crashes like that? Let's examine that for a second. I want to talk about it. Time to Talk podcast. I appreciate you being here. We're going to talk about something that's been disturbing me in the last couple of weeks since these plane crash, these things have happened, these tragic incidents. And I want to, shout out some prayers and love to the families and the victims, the people who passed away on these planes, these horrific accidents, as well as the crew, DEI or not. Okay, let's get into it. If you haven't subscribed. Join me now. Appreciate you being here. Let's just get right into it. I want to make note of something. President Trump, Donald J. Trump, 47 president, made statements about DEI when this plane crash happened, the one in D.C. first. Came out. It was probably the most despicable, one of the most despicable things he's ever said and did in front of a camera. He's done plenty, but this was probably one of the most despicable and irresponsible and, quite frankly, just stupid and ignorant all at the same time, which, you come to expect from him when he speaks. Now, again, I'm not for all the MAGA people and the Trump supporters, I'm not trashing Trump overall and his presidency and whether or not he was a better pick than Kamala Harris and the Democrats. I'm not going there. Okay, I'm not suggesting that some of the things that he's implementing and some of the things that he's working on aren't for the improvement of our country, and hopefully he is able to do that. Right now, he's doing a lot of things that seem to be just very hardcore, but we'll see what happens. I want to go back, though, to make the point. You can support him, and you can say there are some good things you want to see cleaned up, like the amount of illegal immigrants and such that are here in our country and, certain things along those lines. But you also can still criticize him. You can still critique him. If you're in the camp of whatever he does is okay, we love him, then you've got issues. So let's get back to the DEI thing. That was a super irresponsible. It was absolutely ridiculous to the point where it's not going to happen. But it would be amazing if we had a president with the dignity, the respect, and the class that could come out and say, look, I apologize. I should have said that. You got people grieving. The thing it was being investigated. The debris was still being cleaned up, and he's blaming DEI that's a possible rationale for this. So let me discuss something with you. So first of all, the American Airlines and Black Hawk helicopter, right? You've got on the American Airlines pilot is Jonathan Campos. Oh, he was Puerto Rican. Minority, Puerto Rican. Guy wanted to be a pilot since he was young. Dedicated his life to it. Okay, Puerto Rican. Does that mean, wait a minute, had he been a white man, perhaps this wouldn't have happened? Bullshit. Let's get into the Black Hawk helicopter. You have two white men and a white woman who were the pilots and co-pilots of that plane. Two white men, Andrew Eves and Ryan O'Hara, and a woman named Rebecca Lobach. These are the people who flew the jet, the actual helicopter. Now, the Philadelphia plane crash, the Learjet 55, the medvac plane that was taking the Mexican woman and her child that had surgery going. Captain Alan Perales, okay, co-pilot Jose de Jesus Juarez, Mexicans. Now, does that mean that the plane crash must have been because they were Mexican? They weren't white men, so whatever. This might be a little bit different because this is a Mexican company, whatever it was. Maybe they didn't have DEI hire practices in place. Maybe it's just, it's predominantly Mexican crew, Mexican people. But I say all that because the point of this particular video is to explore history. Let's look at a couple things. Let's look at a few flights, tragic flights in the history of America, and what happened here. Comair Flight 5191, August 27th, 2006, 47 people dead. Captain Jeffrey Adams Clay, a white man. Oh, plane went down, 47 people dead. There's a white man at the pilot who was piloting that plane. November 12th, 2001, 265 people dead on an American Airlines flight 587. Captain Edward States and Sten Mullen, both white men. Now, there are even allegations out there that Sten Mullen was a sexual predator. So I guess perhaps that puts him in a diverse category of some sort, right? Let's look at the third one. January 31st, 2000, Alaska Airlines, Flight 261, 83 dead. Captain Ted Thompson and William Bill Tansky, both white men. Oh, my God. July 17th, 1996, TWA Flight 800, 230 dead. Captain Ralph Kevorkian. This one's interesting because an unnamed official of the FAA told reporters that Kevorkian had been under investigation by the FAA and faced a 30-day suspension for an incident that took place in January of that year. Anyway, white men flying that plane. Let's look at another one. July 9th, 1982, Pan Am Flight 759, 145 on board, dead, plus 8 on the ground, dead. Captain Kenneth L. McCullers, white man. Let's look at another one. August 16th, 1987, Northwest Airlines, 148 dead. Captain John R. Moss, white man. We'll look at another. Let's look at one. September 8th, 1994, U.S. Air Flight 427 with 127 people dead. Captain Peter Germano, white man. So let's first make something clear, a couple things clear. One, don't want this to be an attack on white men, because that's not the point of this post. Hopefully you're not daft enough or crazy enough to believe that that's what this is about. I also want to say rest in peace to all of those people who died over the years, the people in the crew, or the captains I just named, the co-captains I named, and the passengers of all these flights. I want to say rest in peace to all of them, okay? But you can look up the details of those tragic incidences, right? Those crashes, and the FAA. But obviously these all took place many years ago. So the full investigations have been done, and you can go in and you can look up each one of these, and you can see what the issue was. It was a particular issue with one of the rudders, or something happened with an engine failure. Something happened with electronics on the actual plane. All these different variables that took place that led to some of these accidents. Now, I'm saying all this because we don't have all the details yet. The full investigation has not been done, and everything has not been determined on these recent incidences, specifically that Black Hawk and American Airlines flight. We don't have all the details on what exactly took place, and it probably won't have it for a good 30 days, 60 days, maybe not, maybe longer. But I wanted to highlight to you the suggestion that a plane crashes, something tragic happens, and the first thought we have is, well, pilots are probably unqualified, is just ignorant beyond reason. It is stupid. You're a moron. If you're one of the MAGA people, or one of the people out there online on your X platform who somehow fell in for that and started reposting and re-Xing and redoing whatever and got on your social media, or if you're another content creator and somehow you mentioned the possibility that it would be DEI related, you're a moron. Here to tell you, you're stupid. You're a moron. Okay? If that's your thought, I wanted to come on here and say that because it's clear, as I just demonstrated. There's been a ton, in fact, most of the airline accidents that have happened in this country since aviation has been a commercial aviation has been a thing, have been white men crashing planes. So maybe we can turn this around and go, perhaps we should get rid of the white men flying planes because they seem to have a history of crashing them. We don't have a history of lesbian women crashing planes. We don't have a history of black men crashing planes. We don't have a history of some trans person who crashed a plane. We don't have a history of some, take a pick, Asian American who crashed a plane. We don't have an Indian American who crashed a plane. We have a whole bunch of white men who have crashed planes. So why don't we turn our lens and say, well, maybe we should reduce the amount of white men flying planes because a whole lot of accidents have happened. Now, that would be equally as ignorant and stupid to do. Wouldn't it be just ridiculous for me to say that white men are the problem? They're the ones who are responsible for crashing planes, and perhaps we should rethink who flies planes, because the history so far, the data has proven that it's mostly white men crashing planes. That would be ignorant. That would be stupid. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not going to sit here and say that again. This is not an attack on white men, because that would be super ignorant of me to do that. And I don't believe in doing that. I don't believe in that. I just ask and I tell you and I make the point that it is ridiculously as stupid, if not more stupid, for anyone to suggest that these plane crashes or anything that goes wrong must be a DEI situation. I know you're all on that hype right now, diversity, equity, inclusion, and I have mixed feelings on that. I don't think it's a question of should we make sure we have qualified people in certain positions and certain roles in society, especially ones that are responsible for multiple lives, right? Like pilots and people who have these hard jobs, these demanding jobs where they're in charge or they're responsible for the lives of others. Should we have qualified people? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do we need to get rid of every program that allows for diversity in the workplace? No, we don't need to get rid. We don't need to get rid of it altogether. What we need to do is find a balance. We need to say, look, you got a company, right? You should have at least a certain amount. There should be a diverse representation of people in your company. However, doesn't mean just hire people because you want to fill that quota. It means if you're gonna hire a certain percentage of women to represent your company, make sure those women are qualified. Do your research as you would any other time. Same thing with black people. Same thing with Latinos. Same thing with Asians. Same thing with Indians. Make sure you've got a diverse representation of people, because I just think that's fair. Give equal opportunity. But when you screen all those black people, don't just hire some random black man because he's black, or black woman because she's black. Hire her because she's fucking qualified. That's what you do. That's the point that you want to focus on. What's being said about DEI by the likes of Trump and his team, it's more about how they're saying it. That's the real issue. It's more about the way they talk about it. They just go on these racist rants that make it seem as if there's no nuance to this whole thing. They are literally excluding people and making people minorities and people who have benefited from some of these programs legitimately. I'm not talking about people who are unqualified, who got jobs just because they were a certain color or a certain sexual orientation. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm against that as well. I'm against the whole woke idea that we have to hire people just because. I'm against that. But it is just outright racist, wrong, insensitive to shout out from the rooftops from the Oval Office that this is a problem, that black people are a problem. We can't do that. And we can't assume that everything that goes wrong is because the person that's in that job must be unqualified. That is wrong. I've spoken. I've said what I had to say. Let me know in the comments below if you agree, you disagree, you hate me, whatever it is. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Hit the like button on the way out. I truly appreciate that. It makes a big difference. I'm going to keep bringing it to you. I'm going to keep it real like I did in this one. Again, just for the record, not a thing against white men, not an attack on white men, not an attack on white pilots. I'm simply illustrating a point, and hopefully you got it. I'll see you on the next Time to Talk podcast. Peace.